If you have ADHD, you probably have heard of rejection sensitivity dysphoria, or RSD. My name is Sara Kelly. I'm an ADHD mindset coach, and today I want to talk about what RSD is, how it affects people with ADHD, and then I want to leave you with some tips and tricks to remedy RSD so that you don't suffer the next time rejection sensitivity dysphoria raises her ugly head. If you are not already following my channel, please subscribe and turn on your notifications because I come out with videos every single week on everything ADHD and the isms that pair with having ADHD. And if you are a woman late diagnosed with ADHD, I have a free masterclass linked in the description of this video that goes over the 5 pillars to creating lasting change if you struggle with your self-esteem or your sense of self as an ADHD woman. According to Psychology Today, rejection sensitivity dysphoria is a common condition coexisting with ADHD. Those with RSD are extremely sensitive to criticism, often holding on to negative words or actions made towards themselves for months or even years. Are you an ADHDer who maybe has had a negative experience in the past where you have felt rejected and you still think about it on a regular basis? I know that this is true for me. It is common for ADHD people to struggle to let go of negative things that have happened in the past. The term rejection sensitivity dysphoria was coined by Dr. William Dodson, and although RSD is not currently in the DSM-5 as a prerequisite or a symptom of having ADHD, there is a really high correlation between people who have ADHD and have felt the effects of rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Just a common stat that I have shared on this channel a lot is the average child by age 10 will hear approximately 20,000 pieces of negative feedback next to our neurotypical counterparts when we have ADHD. So if we are constantly hearing, "You're not good enough, you're always late, why do you not have enough attention to detail when I ask you to do something, why are you so forgetful," that is going to affect our psyche. That's normal. You take that and you put in a little bit of impulsivity, which is also part of ADHD, and then top it off with emotional dysregulation, which also is a symptom, though not formally in the DSM-5, of having ADHD. We really create this perfect storm for when we are actually being rejected or just we are perceiving the possibility of rejection to go down the catastrophic vortex of rumination. They're all out to get me. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to get things right. And that causes internal suffering. The things that we put in our heads about ourselves, the things that we believe about ourselves or we think others believe about us can lead us into ruminating on the negative for decades sometimes. So now that you know what RSD is, and we've talked a little bit about how it manifests in ADHD people and why it would manifest in ADHD people, what can we do as ADHDers to not suffer the way we do when we are feeling rejected? Number one is when you start feeling emotionally dysregulated, and this takes practice, but it does work, is to catch where in your body these feelings of emotional dysregulation first come up. Maybe your chest starts feeling tight. Maybe you notice that you're clenching your fists together or pursing your lips together. Perhaps you start feeling your heartbeat race. Pinpointing where you're starting to feel these big feelings in the early stages before we have gone from 0 to 60 with a flood of huge emotions is the easiest way to divert our attention to something else when we start feeling emotionally dysregulated and rejected. Something that I do when I start feeling rejected and I can catch it in my body where it's first manifesting is I simply just divert my attention somewhere else. Maybe I will put on a funny show or start reading a book, go outside and get fresh air, or take a cold compress, a cold washcloth, maybe a bag of frozen vegetables, and just place them on my chest and cheeks and forehead. This forces my nervous system to come back to a homeostasis state. My next tip is to exercise the power of the pause. ADHD people can be really impulsive, and our brains are working really fast. Let's say I get a text from someone, and in that text, I can't tell the tone of the text. I can't tell if the person is sending the text and is being very neutral with their feelings, or maybe a little bit aggressive or judgmental. Instead of instantly going to ruminating on the negative, I simply say that I am not going to deal with this for 24 hours. I'm going to step back and give my impulsivity, my emotional dysregulation, my feeling of deep rejection a break. Step back and not react. I don't know about you, but I'm guilty of being a keyboard warrior when I'm very emotionally dysregulated and saying things that maybe I regret later, or coming to find out that I did misunderstand the person who at first I thought was rejecting me, and then come to find out that they actually weren't. But now I have to apologize, which of course is not only embarrassing, but also does create a barrier in the relationship of the person that I was too reactive with. So the power of the pause is absolutely a lifesaver to ADHD people. Now, what do you do if you do start ruminating on the negative and you are in your head about how you've been rejected, how you always feel rejected, and you're almost in this fight or flight mode because you don't know how to rectify the situation. You're just feeling these really big, intense feelings. That is where I love using the benefit of the doubt theory. And all the benefit of the doubt theory is exactly how it sounds. When we are in our emotional brain, we're not always being logical. So in order to use the benefit of the doubt theory, give my emotional brain a rest from really catastrophizing a situation, I will try to give that person or that situation the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that text did come off as a little bit more standoffish or rude. Instead of thinking that it's sheerly against me, what I can do is go to, what if they were maybe having a bad day? Maybe they were in a rush when they sent that text. Introducing a little bit of the benefit of the doubt theory when we're feeling the effects of RSD and we are ruminating on the negative gives us some perspective when RSD is rearing her ugly head. And the final tip that I have is being the detective to your emotional brain. When we are ruminating on the negative, when we are catastrophizing a situation or reliving something that was said over and over and over again, we are 100% in our emotional brain. And the thing that I love about ADHD people is we are so passionate, we are so empathetic, but we also can be highly emotional at times, and that comes down to our emotional dysregulation. And I have a video all about emotional dysregulation linked above this video or below this video, so feel free to check that out after this. So when I suggest to become the detective, what I mean is when we are in our emotional brain and we're ruminating on the negative, bring in that detective. If you were a detective, if that was your 9-to-5 job and there was, say, a crime scene, you wouldn't go to that crime scene to investigate it and say, well, I think this person did it because of this, or this, or I think that it was an accident, or I think this crime was done on purpose. That would not be part of your job description. Your job description is to go in and analyze the evidence. So in a court of law, and I know that sounds kind of silly, but in a court of law, are your feelings of rejection 100% on point beyond a reasonable doubt? Or if you start being the detective to your emotional brain, can you come up with evidence that maybe you are being a little bit more emotional right now and you don't have the evidence to prove that you actually are being rejected? A really easy way to do this is to look at the evidence of your relationship with this other person. So let's say your boss calls you into the office. They want you to come into the office tomorrow, and immediately RSD sets in. They want to fire me. They're probably going to write me up for something. They probably don't like me. I bet I'm going to be laid off. That is the emotional brain. bringing in the detective into that situation would look like, how has my performance at work been for the past 3 months or 6 months? What kinds of feedback has my employer given me in the past 3 months or 6 months? By bringing in the detective, we're bringing in that logical entity into the conversation, into the rumination with our emotional brain to hopefully balance out the emotional brain from the logical brain. Sometimes doing this can give us a perspective we need to know that we indeed are not being rejected. Instead, we are just being fearful of the unknown. Now, on the other side of the pendulum, ADHD people do get targeted and bullied, as well as autistics, more than neurotypical. We tend to be people pleasers, and we tend to not have really good boundaries at time. And I also have a boundaries video linked above or below this video. So I'm not saying that every situation where you're feeling rejection sensitivity dysphoria is just you catastrophizing something that's not real, but looking at boundaries with someone and looking at how someone has treated you in the past can give you amazing intel as to whether or not you need to maybe have some more boundaries with this person or just not have this person in your life anymore, or if maybe just having that conversation. Hey, when you sent that text, I wasn't 100% sure how to take it. Can you just clarify for me? Sometimes just asking for a little bit more information stops us as well from jumping to conclusions. Now, if you know anybody who has ADHD who would benefit from learning a little bit more about RSD, or if you have a neurotypical person in your life who would benefit from seeing this video so that they can understand you more, please like this video and share it with them. By liking this video, more people in the algorithm will also be helped with their ADHD and their RSD. Thank you so much for watching this video. Check out the masterclass linked in the description of this video, and I will see you next week.